Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first ever stream. By way of an introduction, my name is Ife Muiwa Olanka, short form Ife, IFE. Easy enough, I guess. In today's video, we're gonna be working on chess calculation. I'm about 2,000 rated on chess.com, and like any chess enthusiast or anyone obsessed with chess, we're always striving for self-improvement. And I think the one way to improve your chess is to work extensively on your calculations. So today I'm working from this book. It's a very good book which I recommend. Romain Edwards Chess Calculation Training Book. There's the volume 1 for middle game and the volume 2 for end games. We're going to be working, there we go, the volume 2 for end games. We're going to be working on the middle games for today. As I realize from my online games this week, especially in the middle games in complicated positions, I've been making some uncharacteristic mistakes, which is due to that one factor is due to being rusty. Another factor is I'm just not my skill level isn't just at the level where it should be. So how do we improve that? By practice. This book has a few exercises that warms you up in chapter one. It has warm-up exercises, and then you go into the calculation proper. So we're just going to start with the warm-up exercises just to get warmed up and sort of be in shape, because I've been playing a lot of bullet games yesterday, and the sad thing about bullet is it gets you into the habit of playing one move, like you just play a single move without much thought process into it. So let's get warmed up and fix this bad habit I developed from tons of bullet games yesterday. So I've solved some of the warm-up exercises in chapter one, but there's about let's say 40 which I haven't done yet. So we're gonna do about 5 or 6 warm-up exercises. Let's see. I've done 28. Okay, let's start from number 29. I'm just gonna set up the position on the board. It's from the game. I don't even know how to say his name. Kuprensky versus Boris Gelfand. So I've just set up the position on the board. It has pawns on h3, f2, a3, b2, and another pawn on a5, a rook on e8, rook on a1, bishop on a2. He has a knight on c3, the queen's on g2, king on g1, black pawns there, c6, b7, a7, b6. He has a bishop on f6, a rook on d3, another rook on h4, a queen on c7, the king's on h7. Interesting. I think that's the position. Have I missed anything? Let me just have a quick look. There we go. And it's white to move. All right. So that's the position. Usually my technique for these exercises, as recommended by my friend FIDE Master Tanmay Chopra, is the first step is you count the material on the board just to be acquainted with what's happening. So white has 2 rooks, black has 2 rooks, a rook on a1, a rook on e8, black has a rook on d3, another rook on h4. The minor pieces, black has a bishop and a knight, likewise with white. For the pawns, black has 6 pawns and white has 5. They've obviously got a queen each. So black is up a pawn in this position. So okay, let's calculate. So What is black threatening in this position? Uh, there's obviously the pawn on h3 is under attack. Uh, and the white king is looking quite naked, but you could say the same for the black king as well. So when it comes to the king's safety, I could evaluate it for both sides. So candidate moves. Let's have a look. I do have quite a very easy looking move, which is bishop to b1, which pins black rook to the king. But I'm just having a look to see if there's anything much stronger than that, because we all know the was it by Laska where he said if you see a good move, look for a better one. So obviously there's bishop to b1, which pins the rook to the king. So that's a move we can just hold on to. Well, let me just search for something much more stronger than that and try to see if there's a refutation to bishop to b1. But surely it shouldn't be just it shouldn't be so simple, just bishop to b1. Uh, let's see. Ooh, there's something even more nice, much more nicer than that. We could win the bishop with bishop to b1. However, I'm thinking queen to g6 with check, f g6, then f g6, then bishop to g8 with check. The king has to go to h8. Then we play bishop to f7 with check, and the king goes back to h7, and then we capture the pawn on g6, and that's mate. Look at that. So wait, let me see. So queen g6 with check, he takes, then a check, the king goes there, another check there. It's a discovered check, so the queen can't take this one. The king has to come back there, and we take this one with mate. Oh, that's nasty. That's actually nasty. If that's the solution, then that's a brilliant combination. I think that's the solution. But also, we also have bishop to b1. So let me just double check this line just to see if black has any refutation, because it's always a good habit when you see a fancy looking move just to double check it and blunder check to see if there's a refutation you're probably missing. But this line looks lovely. It's from the game Krupensky versus Boris Gelfand, if anyone is interested in looking through the whole game. So double check it again. Queen g6 with check, f g6, bishop g8 with check. Can anything interpose the check when the bishop moves away to f7? Nah. So queen g6 with check, the king goes to h8. No, no. F g6, then bishop to g8 with check. The king goes to h8, then bishop f7. The king goes back to h7, and then the bishop then completes the checkmate with bishop to g6. I think that's the solution. Let's have a look. We'll have a look at the solution in the book, and then we turn on the engine evaluation to see. So just bear with me a second. Number 31. And there we go. That's the solution. Wait, hold on a minute. Bishop f7, king h7. Oh, wait. There's even a much more nicer move I missed. So, guys, uh, I was right for the most part, but there was a move I missed in my calculation. So check FG6, then bishop G8 with check. The king goes to H8, then check again. The king goes there. I think this is checkmate, but there's an even more nicer checkmate, which is this one. Or you could just be like me and just play safe with this one. So yeah, either one wins. So it's just a matter of your uh, preference. I do like this one because that was what I saw, but this one looks even much more nicer than that. So yeah, that one's solved. Let's do three more warm-up exercises. So number 32, 33, and 34. Just bear with me. I just got a message from a friend. Just sorry, just respond real quick, and then I go straight into it. Okay. Uh, just have to look at something. Wait, are we live? If we aren't, then that's gonna be incredibly sad if I just been uh conversing with myself, which I would be doing anyways if we were live. But let me just double check it again just to make sure we're live because my OBS is acting up a little bit, and I'm not quite certain if we were live. I think that was a very beautiful a beautiful combination. Just get this one to the side on the other side there. Yeah, that was a very beautiful combination. So we're indeed live. There we go. Perfect. Okay, the next position is from. Let me just set it up real quick. So there's this one, the pawn there, rook there, bishop, queen, and the king is on h1. Usually, if I see a king on h1 where there's sort of like this sort of structure, the first thing I usually look out for is if there's combination with the back rank, because if this rook wasn't there and like a rook drops in there, then there might be some checkmating ideas. So yeah, that's just a tip which I use. Okay, there's this one, the king on g8, bishop, double rooks on the e file, the queen. Uh, okay, I think that's the position. So once again, like we did with the other one, the first step to do is to look at the material on the board. So black has 3 pawns and white has 4. A bishop each, 2 rooks each, and a queen. A move I'm looking at is my candidate moves in this position. The main one is queen takes rook with check, and then we follow up with rook e1. Rook e1, it pins the queen to the rook, but then white has king g1, so that doesn't quite work. King g1, if you take the queen, the king takes it, and all I've done is just exchange a queen and a rook. Alternatively, I'm looking at, oh, that's nice. Instead of queen exchange f1, how about queen takes the bishop? But then I've got to look at if white has any counterplay with. Oh, white is threatening checkmate, to be fair, so I don't quite have the luxury. If queen takes on c1, then he doesn't have to take back. He can just play queen takes f7. So yeah, that doesn't quite work. This doesn't quite work. It's quite frustrating. Do we have the time in this position to play something like f5 first? Nah. If you play f5, then he could solve his back rank issues by also playing something like h3. So what other possibilities do we have in this position? Once again, I'm looking at this move, this queen takes f1 check move. So queen f1, queen f1. If rook e1, then king g1. Oh, well, hold on a minute. If king g1, then I have bishop d4 check. Wait, so queen takes f1 check, rook e1. If he plays king g1, then I have bishop d4 check, forcing the king back to h1, and then I capture the queen mate. It's just to double check that again. So queen f1 check, queen f1, rook e1. Does he have a move to prevent checkmate without losing his queen or something? How about he play something like queen g1? Queen g1, then I take the queen on g1, the king takes, then I play rook e1 check, king f2, and I pick up the bishop on c1. So that's also winning. That's also winning. That's also winning. Just to double check this line again. So queen f1, rook e1, king g1, bishop d4, king back to h1, and then rook takes queen checkmate. That's quite nice, to be fair. Yeah, so that's my move in this position. Let me have a look at the solution. You see, this is why I like to solve exercises via a book instead of using Puzzle Rush or Chess Tempo, because on let's say Puzzle Rush, for example, you could make a good looking first move, and then, like I already mentioned, the computer then makes its continuation, which then you then know, okay, my first move is right. So it takes away the process of you sort of calculating out the whole line, because you tend to do it on the move by move continuation basis, where you make your move and then the computer makes its move, and then you find the next best move on the second move. But with books, you're forced to calculate the whole line out first before you decide that's your solution. So yes, so if anyone is looking for a means of calculation, I would recommend chess magazines and chess books. And this book in particular is very helpful. This book took me from 1950 chess.com rating up to 2050, and I went so close to 2100, but then I got tilted and I lost a lot of games. So yeah, let's have a look. The solution for this one. 32. Oh wait, hold on a minute. It's actually wrong. It doesn't quite work. So we're meant to play rook e1 first. Why? Why rook e1 first? Wait, let's see. I went for the more fancy option, but apparently it doesn't seem to work. Let me pop the engine on real quick. It doesn't seem to work. Let's see. Ah, wait, hold on a minute. Yeah, queen takes f1 that doesn't work, because now if I play rook e1, what does white have which I missed? Ah, he could take on there, you know? Okay, rook e1. What am I missing? Oh, this engine is also bad. So if this, what am I missing? Yes, he could take on there. He could take on f7, and then if I take, and he takes back, and it's just an equal endgame. Some could say I'm worse because black has this 2-on-1 majority on this side, and yes, these. So yeah, it's holdable, but white definitely has all the winning potential. So instead of this queen f1 move, which I missed this queen rook takes f7 move. So the best move was rook e1 with the threat of taking on there. So if I was afraid of this move, this check. If white takes with check now, queen takes only move. Ah, wait. So if rook takes f7, rook takes on c1. Ah, rook takes on c1. Okay. So this rook is overloaded. It's defending the bishop and this rook. So rook takes on c1. Rook takes on c1. And then the king gobbles up this one. Okay. That's a very interesting line. So rook e1, rook e1, rook e1, the check comes in. Rook e1, the check comes in, take. So not f1, but rook exchange c1. Okay, noted. So in a game, how could I have seen this? My main fear in not choosing that variation is I was afraid of this check going on there. This he's got the queen, rook, and other rook piling on f7, so I was quite afraid of that. But rook e1 take. The queen now takes back. He can't take with this because of the pin. So he takes this one. And then I take that one. Ah, okay. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Let's do two more exercises, and then we go into the calculation itself, where I'm going to do 5 exercises and then I go to bed. So the next position, I shouldn't have missed rook takes f7, defending the queen. I was too excited with the queen f1 move, where I only calculated white's worst option. Yeah, that's what happens when I play a lot of bullet and blitz games. I get into the bad habit of calculating only my opponent's worst options instead of their best moves. But anyways, let me just bear with me a second. Have a look at this. Well, okay. I missed it. That's okay. Well, it's not okay. I missed it, but yeah. The next position is uh okay. We're playing from white's perspective again. The queen there, in the pawn on a3, c4, d5, bishop on d2, queen, king c1, rook there, rook there. Oh man, I shouldn't have missed queen takes f7. That's such an easy move to see. This is why you don't get too excited in a variation. You, you keep your objectivity and you make sure you make the best moves. Okay, there, pawn on d6, pawn on a7, f7, g7, h7, king on g8. Ooh, this king is directly facing my rook. Black does have some pressure on there. Okay, this is the position with white to move. It's from the game Baskaran versus Nijat Abbasov. I remember Abbasov, he played at the candidates. I think it was a couple years ago, or was it last year? Yeah, Nijat Abbasov. He didn't quite have a good candidate though. If I remember, he lost most of his games. But anyways, okay. So this is the position. Uh, so well, once again we repeat the process. Um, Black has two rooks. I have two rooks. I have a bishop. He has a knight. He's up a knight. However, I wouldn't really say it's up a knight because the knight isn't yet developed. The knight is still at home. So is that really being up a knight? Even the other bishop is quite inactive. It's still on the home square. So I would say I'm up a bishop because his minor pieces are both undeveloped, and the other rook on a8 is also undeveloped. So he's essentially playing this whole game with just the rook on e2 and the queen on f2. Well, okay. So he's obviously threatening my queen. Do I have a? Ooh, I might have something nice. But once again, it's not really about making outlandish moves. It's about making the best moves. How about rook rook exchange g7 with check? If the king goes to f8, what's my continuation? If the king goes to f8, I potentially have rook takes f7 with check. If the king takes there, then queen f4 check. Where does the king go after after queen f4? Queen f4 check. He's got an array of options. He's got an array of options. So rook g7, king f8. Obviously, if he goes to h8, then I think a discovered check with my rook anywhere on the g file should be made. So f8 is a critical line. Rook g8, king f8, rook g7, king g7, queen f4. Queen f4. So rook d7, king f8. No, so rook g7, king f8, rook f7, king f7. Yeah, but okay, king f7, queen f4. So let's look at all the options the king has. If the king goes to, let's say the king goes to e1, e8. What's my next move? I don't quite have another check. The king on e8, I don't quite have another check, and I can't check on the e file, obviously, because of the rook covering the e file. So that's out of the picture. So let's have a look. I did mention this idea of bishop g7, and if the king goes to h8, then a discovered check should win. So how about bishop to g7? If he takes the queen on, if the rook takes my queen, rook d2, bishop g7, rook d2. I've got two discovered checks, which look useful. I've got bishop f6. Well, after king f8, I've just lost my queen for nothing, haven't I? This one is particularly difficult, I must say. So my two candidate moves, rook g7 and bishop g7, kind of lead to unclear positions. Oh, hold on a minute. I think I'm miscalculating, which I always do. How about this instead? Rook g7. If king f8, do I have rook g8 to lure the king back to the g file? Let's see. So rook g7, king f8, rook g8. If king exchange rook on g8, then queen g5, queen g5. The king goes back to f8. Ooh, wait, hold on a minute. This is looking nice. If the king goes back to f8 with the queen on g5, then I have uh, bishop to g7 with check. The king now goes to e8, and e8 was the variation I found quite difficult. Oh, hold on a minute. I think I'm missing something again. So rook g7 check, king f8, rook g8, rook g8. What's my move if king g8, then I have queen g5 with check, and if the king goes to f8, do I have queen g8? Queen g8 check, then the rook just comes back to e8, and I've got nothing there. Rook g7, king f8, rook g8, king g8, queen g5, king f8, bishop g7, king e8. What move do I have after king e8 that I'm not quite seeing? Oh, well, how about I don't check on g7 with the bishop, but I check with the queen instead. So rook g7 check, king f8, rook g8. Obviously, I'm calculating king g8, but I also have to calculate if the king goes to e7. But let's go through this line of rook g8 first. So rook g7, king f8, rook g8, king g8, queen g5, king f8. Then now queen g7, queen g7. The king could go to e8. If king e8, then queen g8 check. The king comes to e7, and yeah, once again, it's quite unclear. It doesn't seem to me that I have enough. Oh, okay. I'll give you one more attempt. If I can't solve it, then I'll just have a look at the solution. An estimate. I do usually get around 60%, which is not great, but at the end of the day, with calculation, the aim is to solve something that's slightly above what you can do. So you're sort of pushing yourself, but at the same time, not pushing yourself too far where you're solving something where even grandmasters will find it difficult to solve. So you're pushing yourself slightly above your level where it's difficult, but it's not difficult enough where you totally miss the idea. Like for example, in the last one which I failed, um, I didn't miss the idea, but I missed a critical move. So yeah, so that's the whole aim. You want to do something where you can solve it. It's difficult, but it's not too difficult to where it's impossible, and you completely miss the idea every single time. But with this one, it's obvious that I'm down a knight, so I've got to do something decisive because if black gets a few moves, obviously my queen is being attacked. My queen is being attacked. Uh, If black gets a few moves, he brings the knight into the game, brings bishop to the game, and I'm gonna lose. Do I have queen to c3 in this position? So queen to c3. What move does black have? If f6. Ooh, hold on a minute. If f6, then queen takes f6. Rook c2 check, king b1. If rook takes, queen takes, queen takes, king takes, it's bishop and knight. It's bishop and knight and rook against two rooks, which isn't great because I think black has more pawns in this position. He has one more, and that endgame isn't looking particularly great. Okay. This one is quite difficult, man. How about queen g5? Nah, if queen g5, then I get checkmated with rook c2, king b1, rook b2, and yeah, disastrous. Uh, let me think. I potentially have a perpetual check with bishop takes on g7. If the rook takes the queen, then bishop to h6 check, the king goes back to h8, then another check on g7, the king goes to h8 again, the king goes to the king goes on back to g8 and another check. If the queen takes the rook, the other rook replaces it. So I do have that in my hand. I'm thinking if that's probably best because I don't quite see anything sort of decisive. So maybe just maybe a perpetual check might be my best bet in this game. Maybe. Let me give it a couple more minutes. If I don't find anything else, then I'll probably go for the perpetual check because if this was my game and I'm down a knight and there's this attack on my second rank, then maybe a perpetual check might be the best way to just get a draw and go home. Because all the forcing ideas I've looked at, it doesn't quite seem to work. It's unclear. Rook g7, king f8, rook f7. If if the king takes an f7, then queen f4. Queen f4. Wait, hold on a minute. Rook g7, king f8, rook f7, king f7, queen f4. This queen is looking quite exposed. I'm not. Let's not get lazy. Let's calculate. So take check, king f8, check, queen f4. What are the options? After queen f4, if he goes to g6, then I have queen f6 check. He comes back to the only move is king h5, and after king h5, you know what? I can't seem to figure out the solution. So what I'm going to go for in this position is bishop takes g7. If he takes the queen, a check. Wait, oh, hold on. The check doesn't work because now he blocks it. And if I take the queen, he takes back, and I've just lost a queen. So that idea doesn't quite work in this position. Oh, this is frustrating. Rook g7, king f8, rook g8. This is super frustrating. super duper frustrating and difficult. That idea doesn't quite work because he takes and then he comes back, he defends with the queen, rook takes, and I'm lost, completely lost over there. So that variation is looking quite murky. Ooh. Okay. I have a strong feeling the move is rook g7. That's what my intuition says. But on one hand, my intuition is good, but my calculation for the most part in chess isn't great. Rook g7, king f8, rook g8, rook g8. Rook g8, king takes, check, the check, king e8. After king e8, that's where I'm sort of stumped. That's where I have no idea what to do next. King e8 is a move that's giving me some severe difficulties. Okay, let's have a look at the solution. I don't have all night to. Let's have a look at the solution for this one. Ooh, that's really nasty. Ah, the back rank, obviously. How did I miss this idea? The move is rook e1. The move is rook to e1. That's really nice. No rook e1. Yeah, rook to e1. And now the queen has to retreat from the position. Queen h4. And we chop this one off. Because obviously the rook can't take the queen because of back rank mate. Okay, we're not doing particularly great today. We solve one more from the game of Tomaszewski versus Ding Liren, the former world champion. You can take with the queen or we take with the rook. Yeah. Apparently in the book it says this was also missed in the game, which does give me some consolation, but yeah. Rook g to e1. Only move. And now queen h4, you could either take with the queen or take with the rook. It doesn't really matter much. Another line to look at is if rook e1, then queen takes f2. So the rook is pinned to the back rank and it's also pinned to the queen on f2. I see. I think uh, the engine's recommendation of queen h4 in a practical game is probably best to just take the rook. If he takes the queen, you take the other rook, and you do your best to hold this, which is quite difficult. Okay, let's do one more from the game of Tomaszewski versus Ding Liren. Tomaszewski, Degbiren. Okay, there, there. A pawn on g4, a pawn on f6. Just bear with me a second. Oh, rook g to e1. That's an idea to remember because you know what's actually funny is with these exercises, when you actually solve it, you see how simple it looks. But what's difficult is in the actual game itself, you get so distracted by phantom threats on your, let's say, on your king or on your queen, and you try to take decisive actions. But sometimes, like, it doesn't have to be a forcing move like check or capture. Sometimes the simple sort of a threat is usually missed. In my calculation, that's one thing I've noticed. I'm very good with calculating captures and checks, especially on the first or the second move. But with moves like rook g2 e1, it's so strong and it's so forcing, but it's not quite a check, so it's difficult to miss it. So pawn on f6. Yeah, that's quite frustrating. I'm not doing particularly well. I've solved one and I've failed a couple. Frustrating to say the very least. And now my OBS is not responding. Oh, okay. There we go. Come on. Pawn on f6. That's it. And black has pawns there. f7. Rook on b2. Rook on b2. Queen on d6. Bishop f8. King g8. Okay. White king is on h1. Rook on e1. Queen e5. There's some tension going on between the queens. White to move. Okay, it's black to move. Okay. Oh, let's do much better this time. So what are my candidate moves? I'm looking at a move like rook b1 because it pins the rook, and if he takes my queen, I think the rook will check. But he has king g2. He has king g2. Rook b1, king g2. Rook takes, rook takes. Let's see. Uh, what's the move in this one? Okay, rook. Oh wait, hold on a minute. Rook b1. If king g2, then queen takes rook, queen takes rook, queen d4. The queen is overloaded, protecting both the rook and the knight. So rook g1. Does that move have a refutation, which I'm missing? Rook g1. If king g2, getting out of the pin on the first rank, then rook e1, queen e1, and queen d4. Okay, I think that's the solution for this one. So just to visualize it on the board, rook g1, and the idea is if he takes, I have the Zwischenzug, take on the first, the king comes up, and then I take the queen. But if he moves the king up, then I take there. If he moves the queen up first, then I take there, the queen takes, and my queen picks up this knight. So the queen is protecting both the rook and the knight, so we could undermine the protection of one of them with this move, rook b1. Let's have a look. I think that's the solution for this one. Number 34. Number 34. Yes, rook b1. And the idea is if king g2, then take, the queen takes, and we chop this one off. Okay. Okay. That one wasn't quite as difficult as the previous one. So now I'm warmed up. Let's go into the calculation properly. Oh, I think I'm warmed up. I'm not quite sure if I actually am. So like I mentioned, we're going to do 5 of these exercises. Or let's say 4 or 5. Let's see. The first one is from a game between Nakamura and Iturizaga Bonelli. So Nakamura was playing as white. White has pawns on h2, g3, b4, c4, d5, a knight on b5, a bishop on e4. Black, on the other hand, has pawns there, 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 a bishop on b7, a knight on a6, queen d7, rook e8, and rook h8. Like I always say, whenever I see a king at h8 and like the king is sort of blocked off, the first instinct that comes into my head is, do I have a back rank idea? For example, is there a way to deflect this rook off the control of the back rank where I could sort of infiltrate somehow? But let's have a look at the whole position. Rook f1, rook d1, and king g8. And it's white to move. So material wise, it's equal. 5 pawns each, 2 minor pieces, a pair of rooks, and each side has a queen. My knight is being attacked. Knight is being attacked, which is quite. Do I have to move this knight away? However, if I take on c6, it comes with a discovered attack on the queen and the bishop. So I think that's my first candidate move. So dc6, it's a fork on the queen and the bishop. If bishop c6, bishop c6, wait, dc6, bishop c6, dc6 opens up an attack on the queen. The queen has to move. The queen doesn't have, black doesn't have time to take on c6. So b6, where does the queen move to? That's an interesting conundrum. Where does the queen move to? Oh wait, b6. He could take there with check. So b6, rook f1 with check. I have to take back with the rook, because taking back with the queen, I lose this other rook. So dc6, rook f1, bishop c6, bishop c6. Ooh, yes, that's nasty. At the end, I've got queen f3. I'm threatening mate, and I'm attacking the bishop. So what if he plays something like, he doesn't have time to do anything because he cannot defend mate on the back rank and protect the bishop at the same time, so he has to lose the bishop. That's nasty. So dc6 opened up this against the queen. He has to take on there. I take back. If he takes now, which he's forced to because it's just a fork on both of them, instead of just automatically taking back with the bishop, I have this really nice move. Queen f3, threaten mate, attack the bishop, and I'm going to win the bishop and be up a piece in this endgame-ish, middle game endgame. So I think that's the move. Let me have a look to see if there's anything I missed. 61, yes, it says dc6, rook f1, like we previously said. Rook f1, bishop c6, and this really nice move, queen f3. Queen f3. That's nasty. So I was thinking he has probably something like this to protect the rook, but he doesn't because I've just got a simple background mate and check, take, and the other rook comes in with mate. So what does the engine recommend for black in this position after queen f3? The engine just recommends queen e7. Just give up the bishop and cut your losses. Take on there, and then something like rook d8. And now it's just about consolidation. Get his knight somewhere more central. You eye for this square, and if we can, exchange of some pieces. Something like queen f7 also looks interesting. Does it work though? Yeah, queen f7, rook f7, and once again, black has to fix his background issues. So king g8. Okay. We solved the initial exercise. There's no point. So the next one is going to be a game between Spaghetti against Miliet. I've never heard of them, but they must be really good. Let me just look it up. Spaghetti, Spaghetti chess. You know what? I'll look it up another time. So this position is looking much more complicated. Black has a lot of pawns on dark squares. White, I mean, on dark squares. Rook a1, rook c1, queen d2, bishop g2. There. You know what? If there's one thing I've just learned from the other exercise is don't just automatically capture back on every move, because my first instinct was, oh, bishop takes, but then I saw, oh, I've got queen f3. It's a fork on f8 and the bishop, and like I already said, black has no way to defend both the bishop and mate. So best thing to do is just to give up the bishop. So yeah, it's one thing to look out for in my games. Don't just capture back, because it's the easy because it's sort of the most natural move. You think you take, the bishop takes, everything comes off. Oh, black has a lot of pressure on the h file. King there. There's a knight, bishop, another bishop there. And I think that's the position. Is it? Yes, it is. Okay. This one looks much more complicated than the other one. What's the material count? 2 rooks each. Black has the bishop pair. I have 2 knights. Black has 3 pawns on the queen side. I have 2. So 6 pawns each. So I don't know what's wrong with Black's position in this example. Oh wait, this queen is undefended. That's one thing I just cited. Do I have ideas like something like pawn there? I don't know. This knight has to move. So let's say something like knight, not there, knight there. And then I could have some cheeky ideas of check with the bishop to pick up this queen. But obviously, that's not Black's best moves, and that's just me having a bit of like wishful thinking that's the move my opponent's gonna make. So let me calculate properly. So if I play e4, and he takes on the, I mean, does he have to take back? Wait. So e4, knight d4. So like I'm already mentioned, a check. Ah, wait, hold on. So e4, knight d4, knight e6 check. Let's say ef6. If I take with the queen now, then knight f3 with check attacks the queen to win the queen back. And if I play bishop takes, bishop takes, pawn takes bishop. Oh, hold on a minute. I'm calculating nonsense. If the queen takes on there, it's a check on the king. So wait. So e4, knight d4, knight e6, check, take. But if e4 does white have something instead of moving the knight? So I'm just trying to look because it seems like it's forcing enough to. How about e4 take, e4 the pawn takes on there, but still it's the same. Oh, I don't know, Let's see. E4. So it's white to move e4 is a move I really want to play, but I have a feeling there's a refutation which I'm missing because it seems like it should work. It seems like it should work, but for some reason I'm doubting myself. So e4, knight d4, knight e6 check. Or if e4 can he counterattack by moving the queen somewhere safe? Because my queen is also undefended. That's what I've got to watch out for. My queen is also undefended. So maybe, just maybe, I don't have the luxury of capturing. So e4. I really want to play e4, man. e4. I don't see a refutation. But probably something I'm missing. It shouldn't be this simple, is it? e4. What if the bishop takes on f4? Then I take the knight anyways because I'm attacking the other bishop. Or I could take on f4, attacking the queen, and once the queen moves, I take the knight as well. So e4. Let's see. e4, knight d4. e4, knight d4. Or could this knight move away to a place where it protects the queen? Probably not. 4, knight d4, then the aforementioned check on e6. I don't know. That's the move I'm going for. Let's see the solution. 62. Okay. He says e4 is correct. e4, knight d4. Okay. So why not? So it says on there the move is moving the queen up one square. Why? So what am I missing with knight e6? Check. The take. Check. I have to take back, I guess. Take. So let me just turn on the engine because I'm a bit confused on this one. So wait on a minute. Oh, check. So the check is less because now if I try to check and I win the queen, he takes back. Backwards knight moves are super difficult. He takes back and protects the queen, and I just wanna. And now the queen is undefended as well. I did mention that. So now queen takes, take back. Say ed5. I play knight f3. He cannot take back because if he takes back, he gets mated on h1. Let's see, e4. So that's why queen e3 makes a lot of sense because the queen is now defended. And now what if the queen goes back to f6 protecting this knight? What's nasty. I forgot e5. Bishop e5. So now what's the difference between queen e5 and knight e5? In this position, should I exchange the queens or not? It says knight. The engine says knight e5 is the best move. What's wrong with queen e5? This knight f3 idea comes back again. Queen e5, knight f3 idea, and I'm forced to take. And now, after this, then it's hopeless. So that's why I have to take back with this knight to cover the square. So what if now black tries something like this with so yeah, it doesn't work because I'm gonna take with check and then pick up this knight. Okay. So if you go back to the original position, e4, knight takes e4, queen e3 attacking the knight. The knight probably if the knight goes back to c6, then I've got now this idea to pick up this one. Really nice. Okay, let's do a couple more. It's almost midnight and I do really need to get some sleep. Just check my messages real quick. Okay. Uh, okay. Let's see. What's the next one? Let me set up the position. B4, A5, Rook A8, Queen D7, King E7. All right. Which side is it to move? It's black to move. Just make sure I got the position correct. There we go. Okay. Black to move. What's happening in this position? Rook, queen, bishop each for both sides. 5, 7. 7 points each for both sides. Uh, Interesting, this one. So it seems like white is the one attacking with all this pressure on the c file. So is there a way to counter attack? Because there's an illusion though. It seems like white is the one attacking. Have a look. The illusion is it seems like white is the one with all the pressure. But to be fair, the white rook really has no way of doing anything nasty because the bishop controls c7 and the queen and the rook control c8. So yes, white has the open file, but the open file isn't particularly useful. So can I start an attack on the other side? Do I have enough time to start an attack on the other side? Oof, this one is quite difficult. Uh, E4, take, E5, take. Mm. You know what's funny is the bishop on c1 looks to be sort of trapped in a way, but there is no real way of attacking the bishop because of obviously the queen and the rook protecting the bishop. So, do I have anything against the king? There's a weak square on f3, but it's gonna take my queen at least. I have to go to e8, then f7, then go to f3, and that just takes too long. Takes way too long. But do I have a way of doing that with an attack with tempo? It doesn't seem to be the case. Um, it doesn't quite seem to be the case. And another move I'm looking at is King D8 with the idea to bring the rook over to C8. But what happens after if I do that? Let's say King D8. What could White do? I don't know. Uh, nah. But if you just exchange everything off, then nothing happens. It's this rook is looking kind of stuck as well because the rook can't really go back because I've got a pawn on b4 which and the rook can't go to c5 obviously. You can't go to c7 or c8. So the rook is looking quite stuck, I must say. Uh, but is there a real way of putting pressure on this rook as well? Because that's just what I'm trying to figure out. How about something which looks ridiculous like Queen b8 with the idea to bring the king over to d7? If but do I have the making two moves? But the question is, if I play Queen b8, I'm still putting pressure on the rook. So the queen can't really leave the c file because the only way this rook can go back home is if the queen leaves the c file. But any queen move off the c file drops the rook. So I think I have enough time to play queen b7 and king d7. So I'm just trying to think what black's best move would be. If I play queen b7, is it probably best to just give up this rook? Give up this rook and play something like rook d6, king d6, and then potentially like a check on c5. The king drops back to d7 because this rook is definitely stuck. There's no way home. It's so queen b7. Queen b7. There's this rook is stuck because it can't really go to c8 either because from b7 my queen still controls c8. Or what's probably best is something like I don't know, rook c5. So if bishop takes on c5, then if dc5, yes, you've got a pass pawn, but I can just sort of bring my rook, bring my queen to blockade the pawn, and then bring the rook over to c8, and then I'm gonna win the pawn. So yeah, that's my move. Queen b7. That's such a nice move because there's the illusion that white has all the control and the attacking chances, but yes, white has control of the open file, but the open file does nothing because there's no point of penetration. The only point of penetration is c6, and that square is mine because once the rook lands there, then queen b7 wins the rook. That's really nice. So let's have a look at the solution. 63. Yeah, queen b7 is a move. So queen b7, and what does the engineer recommend? It recommends rook c5. So now bishop c5, then dc5. Yeah, and now I was probably thinking something like, I don't know, rook c8, but I've got to watch out for some. Okay, rook c8. That's not quite decisive enough, is it? Because then white has ideas of coming down there, and it's not really something I can stop. I have to make a move. So probably rook c8 is a bit rushed. So the engine recommends e5 just to block this entrance, where the queen and the bishop, they have no way to infiltrate. And now if the queen tries to attack this one, my king just sits on e6 and it's fine. That's really nice. So once again, yes, I'm up an exchange. However, I don't have to rush with a move like rook c8, because then I give white counterplay. Really nice. So e5. So um, this move is really good to remember, because the only way white can gain any counterplay in this position is something like this. So after this, if I rush with a move like rook c8, the only way white can gain any sort of activity is with this move. So that's why e5 just shuts the entrance for e5 shuts the entrance. And now with c6, then once again, I don't rush. I don't go queen c7 is the same idea. Then I give white some activity with something like king c5, and then it gets a bit. So instead of queen c7, I go b6 instead. And this pawn is going nowhere, because if he pushes, then now I bring this king over there and I win it. So let's see if he pushes, I can play rook c8 first, and then if he tries something like queen e2 to attack this one, just king e6, it defends everything and there's no infiltration, and I'm going to win this one. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, let's do one last one for the day. Once again, this book is highly recommended. It's one of the best books I've ever got. I think it's also on Chessable as well, if you like to use Chessable instead. Okay, the last proposition is from the game of Bullman versus Nikita Vitigov. I know Vitigov. He played for England at the Olympiad. Okay, pawn on a6, king c5, pawn on c5, bishop on d4, rook e8, a pawn structure like that, queen on f4. Okay, this position black to move. Oh, okay. Let's have a look at this one. So black has 5 pawns, white has 4. White has rook and each side is both have a rook. Uh, Another thing to notice is the queen on c4 is undefended. My queen also is, but it's my move, so it's my move. The rook on b7 is also undefended. So currently, white has a threat of taking on f7 with check, and then picking up my rook on e8. But obviously, yeah, taking on f7 isn't even a threat because my queen from f4 did defend f7, so that's not a threat. So this rook is looking, the rook on b7 looks dangerous, but I think in this position, yes, it makes the queen sit on f4 to defend f7, but it leaves the back rank exposed. So a move I'm probably thinking of is taking advantage of the aforementioned back rank with a move like rook e1 check. So rook e1 check. If king knight e1 is obviously out of the picture because knight exchange e1, then there's a checkmate on f2. So knight e1 is out of the picture. Like I mentioned, the queen is undefended. So if the king takes on e1, then I've got bishop f2 check, which is a discovered attack on the queen on c4, and that picks up the queen. Wait, is this one this simple? So rook e1, king knight, king e1, bishop f2, king f2, and yeah, queen c4. Because he's forced to take on e1. So I think this one. Okay, to follow Laska's advice to always look for a better move when you see a good move. I don't see any move that's much better than this one. It's the most forcing move on the board. But let me just have a look to see if there's anything else, because I don't think one should be that easy. But if it is, then superb. If it is, then we might be able to sneak in one more, just one more. Okay, rook e1 and king e1. Just visualize that. So, rook e1, king e1. If knight e1, then queen f2. So king e1, forced, bishop takes f2, and I pick up this one. And at the end of the variation, I'm going to have a queen and 5 pawns for a knight. No, a knight and rook, and they've got 3 pawns. And this one is passed as well, so I can start to push this one. It's gonna take some work, but I think this endgame is easily win for black. So yeah, I think that's my move in this position. Let me look at the solution on the book. Yeah, indeed, that's the solution. Rook e1 comes down there. Knight e1. No, not knight e1, obviously. You see, we wishful thinking once again. And then bishop f2, king f2. Then I'll pick up this one. And I've got this pass pawn. I'm most likely going to win this one as well because this one is quite loose. This rook is undefended, and yeah, this endgame looks easily winning for black, because I don't quite see where white's counterplay is. Possibly some chance of some sort of phantom checkmate attack with, I don't know, if you can get if I push this pawn and you can get a knight somewhere there, and then possibly the only chance I can see for white is if I self-destruct and I let the knight get somewhere there, and this pawns haven't quite moved, some sort of background mate ideas. But yeah, it's gonna take a lot of moves and if I don't push this pawn, this knight doesn't have access there. So yeah, this one is easily winning once again. So due to how simple this one is, I'm going to just solve one more exercise and I'll call it a day. One more, we can call it a day. Just have a look at my messages if you don't mind. Okay, okay. Let me see. The last position I'm going to solve is from Ivanchuk against Karyakin. So this is just how I practice. You use books just because it enables you to calculate. You're sort of forced to calculate all the moves first before you make a move. Unlike with like Puzzle Rush and Chess.com, like they do have its use obviously because with Puzzle Rush especially it reinforces the things you already know, like background mates. You do it over and over again to the point where it becomes automatic, where you don't even have to think, you just make the move. But if you want to do serious calculation, then I would recommend you buy a puzzle book. There's so many puzzle books out there. There's Woodpecker Method as well, which is quite good. Yeah, Woodpecker Method. This one, and yeah, there's tons and tons of combination of books. Or you can still use the resources online, but you force yourself not to make the move until you figured out everything that's happening in the position. So I think that's the best approach. Because I've done tons and tons of Puzzle Rush, and as a result, my intuition is quite good. I do see some ideas. Oh, there's an undefended piece. There's a um backrank mate ideas, but where it gets difficult is to calculate the precise moves, and especially when the critical move is on move four, or move five. That's when it becomes much more difficult to calculate. For example, with the second one we saw in the, I think the one where it's Rook G to E1. Yeah, like that's something where it seemed easy enough after you've seen the idea, but it takes a while to actually see, oh, there's a pin on the back rank and there's a pin on the queen. All right, the last position for the day, black to move. Okay, what's the solution for this one? So for first and first, like I always say, we have a look at the material on the board. Bishop pair, knight pair for both sides, couple of rooks for both sides. White has 7 pawns, black has 7 pawns. So Matthew is even. This knight is sort of undefended because there's a pin on the king. So that's just something to keep an eye out for. Uh, that's an undefended knight, so that's something to keep an eye out for. This one's looking quite difficult as well. Also, I'm also thinking this other knight is also loose as well because in some lines, if I take on there and he takes back, this one is loose. So those two knights, they're kind of placed in an awkward way. Was there a way to take advantage of it? That's the real question. So let's say a move like bishop f2. Uh, Bishop f2, king f2. What happens after that? After bishop f2, king f2, king queen b6. That's quite lame. Nothing happens there, or does it? Then just right off a line just like that. Queen b6. Then he has d4. Okay, I should have gone to bed instead. This one is difficult. Uh, I honestly have no idea on this one. No clue whatsoever. It's probably an idea I missed, or an idea I'm not familiar with. Um, 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 um. What are my candidate moves? Bishop knight f4, knight f4. Then I lose the pawn on on e5. You know what? This one I have no idea, and I'm just gonna check the solution. Well, it says on there, bishop takes. This was my like. I did have a look at this because, like I said, these knights they're a bit loose in a way because this one is undefended because of the pin, and this one could be undermined by this by taking on there. But this line is deep, so let's just go back and move. Set this back up 1 second. Was the bishop there? Was the bishop there in the original position? Nope, bishop was on. It's there. So let's set this up. Mess it up. So black to move. It says bishop takes on h6, and if gh queen f6, and it's if so I'm obviously attacking the knight. The knight kind of moved because of this one. But what if something like king g2? I don't know. Ooh, that's nasty. Then I've got to check there. I've got this one. And he cannot take once again because if he takes, then it's starting to get really, really nasty. The king goes there. The king goes there. And how do I finish this off? Probably just take on there.